Hey everyone, welcome back to the All the Mods 8 series here on the channel. In between episodes, I did a couple of things. The first thing I did was install a new mod. I just added it's called the Just Zoom mod. And I kind of was hoping there was a zooming mod already in the pack, but unfortunately there isn't. So I just added this to be able to hopefully point some things out better if I want to like emphasize something or just, stare into my face. And what's actually cool about this is I can go all the way. Oop, too far. Anyway, that's the first thing I did. The second thing I did was I got a lot of inferium. Not here though. In between episodes, I added a second layer of inferium farming in the compact machine, and oh boy, let me tell you, it is way too fast. I have way too much inferium now, way more than I'm ever going to probably need, and I'm actually doing some stuff with that inferium that I'll show you guys in a second. But I can basically show you what the compact machine looks like as an overview, which kind of looks cool because I can see it from the outside. Basically what happened is I added one more layer of inferium, and what I have up top here is insanium farmland with iron seeds, gold seeds, and diamond seeds, just to start, because those are some resources that I was running out of and I needed some more of, so I decided to put those in there. And that way we have some passive resources coming in very, very fast. Yeah, this setup will be more than sufficient for what we need in terms of inferium and other seeds as well. Our only limiting factor is going to be the lily pads, but I don't think that's going to be too big of an issue. We have plenty, and if we need to make some more, we can always just, craft them as we get them from the mob farm. What you can also see here is I have ender chests on top of the harvester pylons instead of just normal barrels. And I'll show you what I did with those. The ender chests themselves are actually quite easy to make, and I thought I couldn't make them at first because they required blaze rods. But then I checked here, and I actually had some of these molten cores from magma cubes, and they actually can be used to craft blaze rods themselves. So I actually got enough just from that to be able to craft a couple of ender chests. So let me show you what I've been doing down here. I got a little setup going here. So what happens here is these are the ender chests that all the seeds and inferium and all the essence from the compact machine, that all comes into here. What I have down here is a crafter. Now, this is a little bit of a more of just a quality of life thing that I set up, and what I ended up doing was I just set this thing to have all the different recipes crafting all the way up to insanium essence, which is that's an absolute ton of inferium. But I was getting way too much inferium coming in, and I didn't want to clog up my drawers and my system, so instead what I'm just doing is I'm automatically crafting it into insanium, and then from there I can use it wherever I want to. And then it goes, once it's done, it goes into this ender chest here, which is this is the input to the storage system ender chest. That basically I have right down here instead of a barrel. So now this will automatically get imported right into the system when it's done crafting. The last thing I did here was this thing here. This is the seed reprocessor. I had a ton of extra seeds coming in that I didn't really need, so I decided that I was going to make use of them instead of just, trashing them up here. But yeah, other than that, that is the entire setup. It's just basically now running itself automatically. I don't have to manually craft this. I don't have to manually craft this anymore. I can just let this automatically run in the background. And as I get more of these seeds, I'm going to have a more permanent setup somewhere else. But I'm kind of waiting on when we end up getting wireless power and a better storage system. Then I'm going to end up moving all that and setting up a nicer spot for it. So now that I have way too much inferium, I actually don't really need these at all, this setup here, because, oh wow, look at this. I haven't really checked this in a long time because I have so much, but I can probably just get rid of all of this. I'll dump this off after, but I can probably get rid of the entire system here. And what I'm going to end up doing, I think, is kind of converting this into a smaller little plant rack design that's just flush up against the wall. Well, I think the time has come. Let's tear down this setup. It's served us well. but I think it's time for it to go. There we go. That's a little smaller, a little more straightforward, low profile little spot here. So that way I can just come in here and I add these barrels here just for decoration. But if we do get more compact machines with more seeds, we can just put them in and replace the barrels, and yeah, we can go from there. So that's a really small but powerful little setup we have here. All right, so the next thing we're missing that I want to get done today is the blaze spawner. Now, I don't have the blaze spawner yet. It is in the nether. So we are going to have to go grab ourselves a cardboard box, which I have. I got a comment in the last video on the last comments, which I appreciate every one of those comments. I love reading them, so thank you for leaving them. And someone suggested that I use a cardboard box to go and get them spawners instead of having to use Silk Touch. That's a great idea. The reason I couldn't before was I didn't have access to power, and the only way that you can craft a cardboard box is either using mechanism, uh, immersive, which I didn't want to get into at that time, or thermal. And so I ended up going the thermal route, but I had to make myself a sawmill. And I don't have the sawmill set up because I don't really have a need for it, but I do have the sawmill sitting in here now. So I used it to craft a couple of cardboard boxes here, and that should be plenty for what we'd need for a while. So yeah, we're just gonna go to the nether. We're gonna catch ourselves a blaze spawner, and we're gonna go set it up. Okay, so I have this setup all complete, I think. I just put the yellow, it's a yellow aluminum block, and it turns off when it gets a redstone signal. So while it's off, it remains on like that, and the spawner is also turned off. But if we turn on the blaze spawner now, everything should be working as intended. Wow, so those few that I just showed on recording there gave us 100 blaze rods. That's kind of ridiculous. We're not going to have to run this thing very often, I think. And just in the time it took to set up that blaze spawner, we have almost 10,000 iron, which is actually absurd. 5.8 thousand gold and almost 1,000 diamonds. So this is quite a great setup for just some passive generation. And now we're going to go to a completely different world. So here we are in my creative test world. This is where I just try out some ideas and stuff for the videos and for future videos and such. But as you can see here, I've actually done up a design that I'm actually really happy with. This is actually the style that I really want to go with going forward in our playthrough in the area that we're building. And I really love this design. I really love the mangrove wood as a accent block and in this Japanese style. It's really cool. I really love it. And I kind of was playing around with some of like the framing here, like just kind of trying to design it up myself, and then that's what ended up being the supporting pillars or the supporting frame all the way around the outside of the central building. So I thought it looked really cool. So what I want to do is I want to build this building. I want to build in survival in our all the mods playthrough. And I want this to be our new storage facility. I want this to be the place where we start into refined storage. This is going to be our long-term foolproof storage for the rest of the pack. And I really want to get started in it sooner than later because that's going to let us start into auto crafting as well. But I don't want to build it by hand. Enter the Schematic Cannon from Create. This thing is super cool. It'll actually let you insert a schematic you've made. And if any of you are familiar with something like Lightmatica or Schematica, it's essentially the same thing. You can actually create a schematic of a build, and it'll actually build it for you. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate it here because I want to do that actually in the world once we have all the resources we need. I'm still in my creative world here. Yeah, so all we need is a schematic and quill, which lets you select two corner points, kind of the top corner and the bottom corner as like your entire build, and it'll create a box around the build. And actually, will give you a schematic of that entire thing. So for example here, I have, it's showing me what I'm selecting here. So if I come to the corners here, so if I right click here, that's our first position set. And see how it's creating this box now? It's super cool. I love how it's animated in to show you what's being selected. That's the entirety of our schematic selected. So now we have this entire thing in a box. And all we need to do now is, I think there is a schematic table. Yeah, there is. Schematic table. Here we go. We can just put this down. And all we have to do is, I already have this thing named in here because I was planning on saving this to a folder on the video. But if we put this in here, we give it a name. And in this case, I'm going to select my folder where my schematics are going to go in my world folder. And all we have to do then is press the check mark, and it automatically saves this name. There we go. So now we have a finished schematic. So anyway, all we're going to need to do now is basically craft ourselves in our other world a blank schematic, go to the schematic table, and effectively we're going to try and grab this schematic out of our folder, and we can then place it in the world, and we'll come back and we'll see if we can get ourselves the schematic cannon ready to go. Okay, we got ourselves a empty schematic. So now I think we can put this down in our world anywhere. We can put this in and we can download. We're basically putting an empty one in here, and we're downloading the exact same schematic we just created from the other world. And there we go. So now we have this thing and we can put it anywhere we want. And there's a big open area right here. It's kind of, I was gonna start filling it with some trees because it was looking a little barren and a little boring in this area. And I think the sugarcane is way overkill and kind of ugly. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna terraform this area a little bit. I might even take out most of these jungle trees here and replant them with some more cherry blossoms. And I think then that'll be not a bad spot to have our this storage building set up. And we're going to put this probably right in this area after I've done a little bit of clearing. Okay, I finished some terraforming here. I ended up rounding off the edge of the island a little bit. I took off this extra piece that used to be here. It was a little bit jutted out, and I didn't really like it. Hard to make use of, so I just kind of rounded it off here instead. And I think this is where we're going to end up putting the new build for the storage area. Now, if we look here, it looks like this is actually going to fit pretty nicely here. I was just going to try and center it somewhere just in this area. Probably just maybe right there. So we get a bit of a preview once we right click. Now I'm noticing I'm going to have to rotate it. Scroll like this. Oh, that's really cool. So there we go. Now it's rotated. Point at the schematic and control scroll to push it. Okay, here we go. Nice. So that's a little bit closer. Maybe that's not terrible. I actually think I do like that. Just kind of right there. That's a good spot. Okay, so I think I'm happy with that spot. So now all we have to do, that's sitting there, and it's kind of cool because it actually will show you it even when you're not hovering over it like this, so you can see the entire thing and what the build's going to look like. The nice thing about the schematic cannon, is it actually will tell you exactly what resources you need, and what you have to do is you have to put the resources in a chest beside the cannon in order for it to start working. So in this case, we're just going to put this down, maybe right beside it like so. I have to put a book in that slot. So let me grab myself a book really quick. There we go. So now we have this checklist. And this gives us all of the resources that we're going to need to finish this build. And there's a lot of resources. So I'm going to have to go ahead and kind of grind this out, get this all put together, and I'm going to get this set up in some chests besides the cannon, and then we'll continue. And we're all done. Okay, that didn't take too long, maybe like 15, 20 minutes. This is all the things we have that we need to build the entire base. I think this should be everything, and I think it should have no problems placing all of it as well. Um, so yeah, if we check here, we have all of this green, which means that the checked mark means that we have it accessible by the cannon, so that this is being read by the cannon itself. So all we should have to do is now, in order to actually power this whole thing to start, you have to give it gunpowder. So we have some gunpowder in there. So we have everything else should be in place. And all we have to do is press this button, and there it goes. It's starting starting to shoot it out bit by bit. That's so cool. Does this thing like hit me if I like? No, it doesn't. Okay, interesting. So this is really cool. It's not the fastest way to do it, but it's definitely faster than placing it by hand. And it doesn't make mistakes. um so yeah, this is I'm gonna let this thing run in the background for a bit. I ended up muting the cannon noise just while we're in the area, so yeah, I think this will actually give you an indication if there's a problem. Then you have to come back and help it out or skip a block if it can't place one or something. But it seems to be doing okay so far. So yeah, we'll let this thing run, and that's super convenient because then I could like maybe work on something else, like maybe a path or something else to it while we're waiting for it to be finished. So very cool. So I came down here to my power because I was having a realization that I didn't actually upgrade the extracts on any of these power sources. So even though it says it can produce up to, I think it is 640 RF a tick per one of these, I'm actually bottlenecked here by my cable. So I think I'm actually going to have to give these one upgrade each. So if I just put these in here, yeah, so now this is now max speed of 1024 per tick. So that should be enough for each of these extracts. So this furnace wall here has served me well so far, but I'm getting tired of restocking the coal, and the way I have it set up in the wall here, it's hard to like have it auto restock. I know you can have this pull from the back and such for fuel, but because of how this is set up, it's going to be kind of hard to restock. So I've just been kind of manually restocking it this whole time, but I'm kind of tired of it. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these diamond furnaces and we're going to upgrade it to emerald. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these. I think we're just going to grab these, get them out of here. So we're going to grab this. We are going to just surround it by emeralds. And we could do more if we needed, but I honestly think one's going to be fast enough with the upgrade. So my power situation is growing ever more confusing. um, we're really running out of space here. We're really cramming ourselves in here, and I'm hoping at some point soon we can end up moving this entire system and just pump the emeralds in wirelessly and fuel it that way. But for now, we're just going to do this like so. And we are going to set this to auto input and output from the top and bottom. And then what we can do is just take this, and all of a sudden, we have an emerald furnace factory. We want to turn auto split on. That lets you just smelt multiple things across all the slots at once. And I guess we do have to set the inputs and outputs. So on the back, we want the fuel, which in this case is power. And hopefully that should start. Maybe I have to connect it like this. There we go. And now we're powered. So if I want to say smelt down this cobblestone into normal stone, look at that. It's going pretty quick. That's basically doing it at the same speed as if we were having 4 of these at the same time. So that's pretty good. I don't think I'm going to do more than that because this does use a decent amount of power. I really don't want to drain these too fast because we don't really have a great power buffer yet. So yeah, this should be good for most of our smelting needs. And now I can go and clean up this wall over here. I love watching this thing. It's so cool. Ah, it's so good. So good. I think I want to rework this path. I don't think I'm a huge fan of the red. I think it's kind of a fun idea, but I think in terms of a path, it might be a little bit too much. I'm just gonna probably end up changing the path that we have out front, and I just made a whole bunch of buttons. I'm gonna change the path we have out front to some variant of a chiseled stone brick. Let's see if we put this down. That doesn't do too much, but I think that's the path we're going to go for. Unfortunately, we can't turn these into slabs though. So if we're going to be doing like any elevation changes with some slabs, we're going to have to use the framed blocks to add those in, but it's not a huge deal. Yeah, I really do like the look of that. It might be a little clean. I might add a little bit of other textured blocks in just to break up some of the design, but like if I just take out a little bit of this and maybe just replace it with the normal stone brick. Yeah, I think that's okay. That just breaks up some of the same design over and over again, but doesn't it's not super contrasty, so it's just a little bit, it just draws your eyes away from the pattern a little bit. So yeah, we'll probably just mix these two in. I like that. And we're going to wind this down all the way down to our new building, which looks like it's getting pretty close to being done. That's actually that's going pretty fast. I thought that would take a little longer than that. It's only maybe been like 15 minutes, so that's pretty quick. Oh, I think it's done. Yep, finished. I have the empty schematic back, and inside we should have, that is so cool. And everything seems to have placed pretty much exactly how I designed it. Awesome. So I think I actually didn't design in a floor. I'm gonna put it in a floor as well. I'm gonna save this till probably the next episode. This is gonna be the home of our new refined storage system, but I don't think that's gonna be today. I think we're just gonna kind of finish up some stuff around the base first, maybe get ourselves prepped a little bit better for it. But I think that's gonna be in the next episode, getting into refined storage. Obviously, the color palette is quite different, but I figure the two don't clash horribly. I put a little more thought into this one, so I do like this one a lot. I want to get your guys' feedback. If you wouldn't mind in the comments, if you enjoyed the video and you care to add a feedback comment, let me know what length of video you would actually rather see, because I would love to be able to put more videos out more frequently. Like I know right now I'm aiming for once a week, but that's kind of just depending on what's going on, and sometimes I can't always make that, but that's also because I try and get a decent amount done in every episode. So if you guys have any feedback on how long you'd like the episodes to be, I've considered trying to do maybe a little less per episode, but then maybe put out 2 episodes a week instead of just the one. Like for example, if I was really pushing it, I would have tried to maybe try and do refined storage also this episode, but I think I kind of want to try and get out a episode a little quicker this time before the holidays too. So if you guys prefer that, let me know. But if you guys do like the longer styles and the getting more done per episode, I totally understand. I've kind of fallen in love with the kind of the greenery look, and I now feel like I want to replace all of this coarse dirt with moss. So I think I'm going to do that. Sure. I'm leaving a little bit of coarse dirt where the buttons are, just to kind of make it look a little bit kind of like that, but I'll take a little bit of the grass. And here's the finished path. I grew a whole bunch of cherry trees just to kind of fill in the space and make it look a little nice and kind of overgrown and kind of moody in here. And now it starts to rain, of course, but I think most of this should be still spawn proof, even though it's not lit up, because I have some mega torches around. I hid a mega torch also in here, so that it doesn't actually have to be visible to provide the effect, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I'm really happy how this turned out. That Cannon really did a great job, and I'm thinking that's going to be something that I use further on down the road in this series as well. So I'm just going to make sure that we have enough materials to get ourselves started into refined storage. I know that refined storage is pretty quartz heavy, and also redstone and such, so I just want to make sure that we're all loaded up on that stuff so we can kind of just craft it all up once we're here and have no no waiting around for resources. So I'll make sure we have that together for the next episode. Anyway, guys, thanks very much for watching. Next episode, we're going to have a whole lot more in terms of progression, but this one was a little bit of a chiller episode, a little bit of base building, checking out some cool things like the cannon and such, so not a whole lot in terms of progression of the pack, but it was a lot of fun anyway. So thanks a lot for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.